Good day, everybody. All right. So yeah, Dzień dobry. It's my pleasure to be here in Krakow in the wonderful event. You have a very nice town, by the way, if you didn't know that. I am Edgars Stafeckis, CEO and co-founder of TrustLynx. And we do want to share with you, based on our experience, how you could also digitize, automate, innovate in your digital business using trust services. Usługi zaufania. That's, my Polish is limited, so that's all of it. Shortly about us. We're originally from Baltics, from Estonia. We come from the market where the adoption of trust services is on a rather good level. You probably have heard about it. And at some point, we were helping many companies to adopt those trust services for their digital business. At some point, we understood that we are solving the same thing, actually, for many. So we came up with the product, with the technology, and now we are operating also in Poland, in Italy, and other markets. And we are happy that our customers are actually getting recognitions about their digital products, especially where the trust services are embedded there. So the story, what I'm going to be saying today, it's based on experience, to be honest, in very different industries, starting from largest banks, telcos, NATO or security-related institutions, down to smaller companies, mid-size, in different sectors. Now, let's get a little bit to basics, to some terminology. So what are the trust services? Usługi zaufania, once again. First of all, they are defined in a common regular here in Europe. It's just called EIDAS. There are a few of them. Most notable is the electronic identification. So a possibility for me to go on the internet, on a digital environment, and show that it's me, and from a company perspective or organization perspective, know that it's actually Edgars. But usually it's not enough for a total, full process. You need also signatures. So we talk about electronic, digital signatures. We talk about timestamps to conserve or to enable long-term validity or evidence of the transaction over a longer period of time. We use also, there are also e-seals. Basically, it's a signature, but used, done with the identity not of a private person, but with the identity of a company. There are a few more trust services, web certificates, electronic, registered delivery system, rather fresh in Poland. There are a few more coming around the corner, but today I would be focusing more on the first four. Let's go back to basics. And what is happening? A few years ago, European Commission President, Mrs. von der Leyen, came up with a legendary speech, at least for me. You can read it, but in short, it says, when we use in digital business platforms that European regulation cannot reach, we're not really in control of what they are doing with our data. So they introduced this focus and shift towards European identities and digital business based on European values, where the human is in the center, the person is in charge of the data. There are big initiatives like big umbrella term, digital single market. One of the notable initiatives under it is the European Digital Identity Wallet that brings new possibilities. So not anymore only identity and signature, but also many new attributes. If you're using mObywatel, you know that you have much more information about as a person, not just the identity data. And the goal is that by 2030, 80% of European residents and citizens would use either of the ID wallets. That's the ambition. That's what they are working towards. But what's happening today, since we're working internationally, we see different realities in different countries. As an example, in quite a few already, the document number one is the ID card with the mandatory certificate with the identity in it. There are regulations that say if you are identifying people remotely online, you must offer them the possibility to use their official identity. Legislation that legitimizes that if you digitalize the paper history and if you do it using trust services, it gets the same legal effect, and so on and so on. And there are more and more industries, products that we use, and in the value chain, they must use trust services. So I can say that trust is a must. And reality is that every company uses them every day, somehow. You want to know who the people coming to your digital product or to your remote business process are. You need to have evidence about what you agreed upon, what the user agreed upon. And also to further digitize and innovate, you need to be able to issue data in a verifiable way. Technically, e-seal it. So what are then the challenges? Why is it not flying? Why is it not a common thing? And what's under the hood? I'll list down only three main blocks of typical challenges associated with these topics. Cybersecurity conference, so I'll start with the information security and data privacy. What will happen with the data in the whole process when we need it signed, validated, sealed, whatever. Next, even if we go there, are there users that would be able to use our product? Is there a user base? Will they use it? And third is the sophisticated part of it, like legally wise and practically wise. How to make it work, what trust service must I use, should I use? Those are the three main blocks that you typically face, including talking to companies, many companies in Poland. I'll start with the information security and data privacy. Probably you have heard also already now a new sub-industry for cybersecurity data leakage or loss protection. I'm not going to go into detail into that. The name is more or less explanatory. Over the last 3 years, this industry has tripled. Like the market has grown 3 times. And usually it's the main reason for data loss or leakage, it's the mismanaged data. We can blame the users, but we can also redesign the processes how we manage data. And this picture here represents the total spend on cybersecurity globally. Maybe you've seen it already. We know that cybersecurity is a variety of things. It's an umbrella term. And this represents what is the dynamics. Basically, what it says, over the last 7 years, the investments into cybersecurity have doubled global expenditure. And what happens next? We invest so much in our cybersecurity, in the protection. And then the user comes and takes the file, puts it to the email, says, hey, Edgars, please sign this and send it back to me. So we have the state-of-the-art infrastructure secured and so on. And then, we give either the document to the somebody else's cloud, to the middleman, to the third-party service, or the user sends it away. All the investments that we were doing in this moment anymore don't count anymore. This is a very common situation that we see. And this is usually then, keeping up those questions, what's going to happen? Well, more or less simple answer to that is keep your data managed under your roof, under your rules. Try to look for ways how not to get the data out of your controlled environments. There is technology to use that, cryptology, hash, and minimize the user factor, the human factor. How to do that? Integrate, automate, minimize the activities that are left for the user. Maybe it sounds trivial, but it's the reality. Next topic is, okay, cybersecurity, even if we, we have answers to that. But will there be the user base who will be able to come to my digital service, or I don't know, in HR, be able to remotely sign the work agreement? Will he or she have the identity and signing tool? And next, okay, even in digital services, what about the rights of the user? What does he or she have from working with me as a company? Very often the evidence about transaction is in your company's database and the user has nothing. That's just one of the examples of under the term, self-sovereignty. And what is here typical things? Are the trust services available to the general public? And even if they are accessible, what's the user experience? This is usually the key answer on adoption. Let me elaborate on the topic. Poland, mObywatel, great tool, well done. To be honest, I only a few days ago got my PESEL, and now I'm looking forward to onboard myself also to the mObywatel. But cool thing I also saw on the webpage that they are already introducing, like in the making, there is the possibility to sign documents also using mObywatel. Next, Profil Zaufani, you know that of course as well. But where's the catch? They're mainly meant to the cooperation with the government, with the public sector. So it's real identities, but mainly used towards the public services, not adopted by the industries. You have trust service providers. The list is there, you know those names. And in Poland there are like 5, 6. And which is, when we came Polish market, we saw that more or less you're lacking competition on this. You're basically depending on those vendors. As a private person, I would need to pay, I don't know, 70, 80 euros to get a qualified identity and signature, so it's already a cross for the user adoption. Forget about it. General society will not do that, and your good ideas about totally digital business are, you know, in the core already wrong, so to speak. The reality is that these qualified trust service providers market, it's an open market. There are 370 something qualified trust service providers in Europe. There are a variety of tools. They are available for the people, and these trust services, in essence, they are a commodity. I wrote, they are becoming a commodity. In some markets, they are commodity. We don't talk about things, you know, will the user have it or not? It's by design, everybody kind of has it. The identity used at the government, at the telecom, at the energy, at the e-commerce, everywhere. And this is what I was also telling you, what is happening, the shift towards these identities to be adopted by also industries. So what is the reality? Today also you, everybody of you, can obtain qualified certificate remotely, free of charge. It's not you who is paying for that. This is the reality, the real reality if we look outside the sort of bubble that we saw in Poland. So one thing is that those tools are available for users remotely, on demand, you know, a few minutes time, and you'll have already kind of wallet with signature possibilities. And the next one is, of course, then the user experience and the services where the users could use their identity to onboard. And for that to fly, so to speak, the experience needs to be designed with minimum user clicks. If the digital signing is more sophisticated than the paper one, again, those people will not do it. And where this identity and signing tools world is shifting, it's the mobile-first, user-friendly tools, which also is usually enabler for them to like it. So trust services are becoming an R commodity. Let's go further to the complexity part. Let's first touch the legal aspects. So as a company, okay, cybersecurity, I got it. Users might have the tools, but which trust service in which process should I use? Which trust service provider? Which trust service level should I use? There are these questions then coming next. So the legal and technical questions. The reality is that those trust services, they are more or less straightforward regulated, defined, and I will touch that. And regarding trust service providers, it's not only 5 out there. As I told you, it's 300 something. It's open and a growing market. When we started in this industry, 2018, there were 100 something. Now it's 370 such qualified trust service providers, and it's a growing market. This compliance part, there are typically 2 types of kind of regulation that is fostering use of the trust services in digital business. First one is like facilitating, the same ADAS, which like legitimizes and explains what is trust service, what are the levels. One good example here is the amendment article number 94 in the Polish labor law that says if you e-seal the paper originals using qualified certificate, then the digital copy of the digital version of the paper original have the same legal meaning. Meaning that the paper you have, you can use it for better purposes, like heating in winter, right? And then the other one is imposing. So there are already regulars that say you must use this or that trust service in that or that industry or line of business. There are examples, various, directly, indirectly imposing, but these trust services are here to stay, and they will be more and more imposed in our reality, in our digital business. A little bit basics of those trust service levels. Maybe you've heard the term advanced or qualified signature. I would simply explain to you in the simplest way how I can imagine to do it. If you use qualified identity or signature, in case of proceeding, you don't need to provide evidence. The courts must accept it because it's qualified. You don't need to prove that it was a legit transaction. If you use advanced, it's your liability to provide additional evidence, and in the end of the day, court is not obliged to accept it for granted. This is fundamental difference there. These regulars, they legitimize and define the levels which you can use. If you use qualified, it has the same legal meaning as the handwritten, or in many industries, if you use qualified identity, then it's the same as if you met the person in real life. And as I told you, the market is open. This is the number of qualified trust service providers in different countries. It's not limited to only, you know, specific companies. What it should bring competition. Competition means more accessibility, better user experience, better products. Let's move on to the complexity topic, to the IT homework. Okay, we understood security, users, we know the legal aspects, now how to put it together. This is going to be a horrible slide, but I'll list a few things that are typically need to be done by company if they want to integrate the trust services or develop some products using them, if they don't want to go to the middleman to share the data. First of all, yeah, what trust service I need to use? Then I need to understand what are the identity providers, where to get the answer if the certificate of Edgars is really active in that moment, what libraries to use. I know in Poland this is something not so freely available or accessible, but these are one of the things usually you would need to think and solve when you are integrating and developing. Next we go already to the more user level. What type of signature, what type of file formats, and then in the end how to get it all rolling, how to get credentials, how to test it, and nobody ever canceled security, performance, continuity, user experience. This is just one part of the IT homework that is normally needed to be done by companies. So imagine, horrible. Why to do it? So maybe only the bigger companies could afford to do it. And even if, once you do it, let's not experience such a picture in your systems, right? You need to upkeep it. Once you develop, integrate, you also need to stay tuned, what is happening, formats, Java versions, whatever, formats, standards, methods, new tools. If you do it, then you need to also upkeep it. Why am I talking about it? So we as a company, we introduced such technology, which is serving for our customers as infrastructure component. So it's a technology that you deploy on your controlled environments. It serves as like a node for different trust services, different levels, supporting a variety of qualified trust service providers. So you wouldn't have to integrate with them, but you have already the technology that supports those different trust service providers. We have done the typical IT homework, so you wouldn't have to develop, maintain, integrate. It's made very simple for you and also for user. That means there is no, I don't know, redirect to some middleman. There is minimized clicks, so enables smooth user experience, so it actually works. Initially, it was, set of microservices, which I will dare to show a little bit more. Today, it's already packed into different products, depending on your use case, on your needs, to cover the whole field, so to speak. What are the typical needs for a company in a digital business? If I show you a little bit under the hood, in reality, the technology is a list of different microservices that take care of a specific action. This is slide maybe for architects, for IT, but still, there are blocks that are taking care of specific functions, signatures, hashing, talking, security, archiving, data processing, tracking status, secure access inside the company, outside the company, and so on and so on. So in that sense, you can select, whatever is your exact situation, take the container or Docker or whatever, even if it's available as a code in your Git, and go wild in your digital business. Innovate, automate, introduce new products. The compliance part is solved, and this is then, we are then taking care of this for you. Yeah, feel free to take pictures, but too late, whoops. So now I zoom out. Imagine now your company, you have already technology stack, business applications where you manage different types of data. You deploy application like ours, you do the configuration part. One of the main things here in config is where you actually manage your data, where it needs to be stored. So, and beyond this point, then it's TrustLynx that facilitates and coordinates all the communication. So we know what file needs to be signed with what method. So we calculate hash, we talk to the, I don't know, ASECO, KIR, and all whatever other trust service providers, get it signed, put it back on the shelf, show it in a secure way to the external signers, but the data is never leaving your archives. Your protected environments in which you have invested so much. In case of sealing, then we talk with the certificate, which is in the specific infrastructure type. From user perspective, this means that I come to your digital product or to your remote business process. You have enabled, you have checked what methods you want the users to select from. I choose the method that I have or prefer and enter my credentials based on the chosen method. And identification or authentication is done or signing is done. Even if the user doesn't have a method, which is the reality in Poland very often, then you say, okay, click here, you get the qualified certificate on request in a few minutes, and you can finish the job in a digital channel using trusted methods, qualified signatures, and so on. In the back end, this is our application doing all the communication without leaving your firewalls, notifying all the related parties. So, in the digital business, and also your companies, I believe, or organizations, you want to go digital, you want to automate, you want to innovate. There are tools like ours, as you saw, that simplify the job for you. You shouldn't anymore spend time on this, because also we believe it is a commodity, and we're simplifying it for you as a company. Also then next, okay, you do the automation, the integrations, but also then simplify the user experience. As I said, minimize clicks, minimize the human factor, and improve the user experience. And of course, cybersecurity. In this case, data is not leaving your premise, your perimeter. There is no player in between regarding data privacy. You're not sharing the data with anybody else than you and the counterparty. And we would be really happy to showcase it to you if you're interested. We have a stand there. Thank you for your attention. My name is Edgars Stafeckis.